TomoNews presents Sinkholes. Giant unstable sinkholes in Texas are still growing. Satellite images show that 2 sinkholes near Wink, Texas are growing, and that more sinkholes are forming nearby. Sinkholes form naturally when underground water dissolves bedrock, creating voids over time. The voids grow upward toward the surface until the layers above them collapse. Sinkholes can also be created by oil and gas extraction. Drilling fractures underground rock and allows water to permeate and dissolve the interbedded salt, which creates voids underground. Scientists have discovered that 2 infamous sinkholes between the small towns of Wink and Kermit in West Texas, named Wink 1 and Wink 2, are expanding. Wink 1 is about 110 meters across, or roughly the size of a football field. Wink 2 is roughly 270 meters across. Wink 1 appears to be the more unstable of the 2. It has a deformation area measuring about 500 meters wide and is subsiding up to 4 centimeters a year. Wink 2 is sinking up to 3 centimeters a year. New sinkholes or one giant sinkhole may form west of Wink 2. In addition, ground along a road used by oil field vehicles directly north of Wink 2 is also subsiding around 3 centimeters a year. Wink 2 is about 3 kilometers from Wink, which has a population of 940 people. Wink 1 is about 6 kilometers from Kermit, which has a population of 6,000. The satellite images were collected by geophysicists at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. They reported their findings in the journal Remote Sensing. The scientists said the sinkholes are unstable and subsiding at an alarming rate. More sinkholes could appear in the future, and they could collapse into one giant sinkhole. The researchers warned that a collapse of the sinkholes, which are near 2 communities and an area heavily populated with oil and gas installations, could be catastrophic.
Giant sinkhole collapse in China is now 3,000 square feet. Terrifying footage showing an enormous sinkhole swallow an entire street in China after an underground tunnel collapses. The collapse is just outside the Federation Garden residential area in Dongguan and was caught on video by nearby residents. The sinkhole was originally a small crater, which had previously swallowed a parked car. Construction workers were attempting to fill the crater with concrete in order to stem the collapse of the underground tunnel. Instead, the crater became a sinkhole, swallowing the entire street and exposing building foundations. One construction worker trapped underground was killed and several others injured. The construction and tunneling were for the city's subway, which has yet to be put into use. The road began suffering collapses as early as August 11th, and this final sinkhole, 3,000 square feet across, is only the 5th collapse this month. Water and gas pipelines were also crushed and broken, adding additional problems such as flooding and possible gas explosions. Hundreds of residents have been evacuated and large stretches of road have been sectioned off while authorities decide what to do next. The construction company is blaming the collapse on the poor condition of the road and recent heavy rainfall in the area. Hopefully they realize that filling in the subway with more cement is a bad idea.
Florida sinkhole suggests America was colonized far earlier than we thought. A collection of fossils and artifacts discovered in a sinkhole in a river on Florida's Gulf Coast suggests that we've been wrong about when the first humans arrived in North America. History textbooks may have to be rewritten after researchers made new discoveries at an archaeological site located within a sinkhole in Florida's Ocilla River. The Page-Ladson archaeological site was the site of several digs in the 1980s and 1990s. Between 2012 and 2014, a new team decided to follow up on decades-old research. The sinkhole measures almost 200 feet wide and 35 feet deep and is bounded by bedrock on all sides. Researchers discovered mastodon bones, fossilized dung, and stone tools in the sinkhole. The stone tools recovered from the sinkhole include a biface, a stone that's been manually sharpened on both ends. On a previous excavation, archaeologists found an adult mastodon tusk that appeared to have human-made grooves along its surface. When this mastodon was killed, the sinkhole was probably a watering hole used by humans, bison, mastodons, and wild dogs alike. Prehistoric humans called the Clovis culture were believed to have originally arrived in North America via a land bridge about 13,000 years ago, as mammoth bones and spearheads have revealed. However, some of the items recently discovered within the Osceola River date back to more than 14,550 years ago, when the land bridge may not have existed. What these new discoveries suggest is that a land bridge from Siberia is not the answer to how the first humans initially colonized North America. And someone else was in America long before the Clovis showed up. Who these people may be, archaeologists don't know yet.
Bus in Brazil swallowed in giant sinkhole.
Italian conservationists get a horrible sinking feeling. A stretch of road has collapsed in central Florence, swallowing a row of parked cars and cutting water supplies. The sinkhole formed just 200 meters from the Ponte Vecchio, a 14th century bridge that is one of the key landmarks of the ancient city. A 200-meter stretch of road collapsed on the banks of the Arno River, which runs through Florence. The chasm formed in the early hours of Wednesday and submerged some 20 parked cars in water. At around 1 a.m., a crack occurred in a cast iron water pipe running underneath a road by the riverbank. Cracks then formed in the road above before the leak was temporarily fixed. Several hours later, a second blowout in the 60-centimeter diameter pipe led to more underground flooding. The road then collapsed, with the sinkhole reaching up to 7 meters deep in some places. No one was injured in the incident, and the city's mayor assured residents there was no threat to Florence's historic city center.
Giant hole swallows a dozen cars at Mississippi IHOP. A cave-in at an IHOP parking lot swallowed more than a dozen cars on Saturday night. Fortunately, no one was injured. At about 7:15 p.m. Saturday night, a series of booms were heard before the power went out at an IHOP in Meridian, Mississippi. Customers said they experienced what felt like an earthquake. As patrons rushed out of the restaurant, a large hole opened up in the ground and swallowed more than a dozen cars. The hole measured 35 feet wide, 400 feet long, and about 20 feet deep. Experts said this was not the result of a sinkhole, which is formed when an underground aquifer dries and leaves a void in the ground, causing the ground above to collapse. Engineers and contractors will be on the scene Monday to determine the cause of the collapse. Heavy rain over the past 2 weeks may have contributed to the collapse. 10 amazing sinkholes that'll give you that sinking feeling. If you're afraid of heights, then you might think standing flat on the ground is the best place to avoid falling to your death, right? Well, not anymore. Here come the top 10 most amazing sinkholes. So, let's dive in. Our number 1 hole of fun comes to you straight from icy Russia. This 130-foot wide hole opened up in the middle of a village when a potash mine below flooded with salt water and caved in. Locals fear their houses will fall in, but the company has assured them that that wouldn't happen. Even though this is the 3rd time in 10 years that a sinkhole has struck the mines, the company is sure it definitely won't happen a 4th time. Number 2 is Great and Blue. Meet the Great Blue Hole located off the coast of Belize. The Great Blue Hole is almost 1,000 feet wide and 410 feet deep. It was created during the last ice age, when an underground cave system became flooded as the sea level rose. Now, if you swim to the bottom, you can see the stalagmite and stalactites of the original cave system under the ocean floor, plus lots of amazing sea life. The Great Blue Hole and surrounding barrier reef are a UNESCO heritage site, and you can visit if you like it deep and dark. Now that you're warmed up, let's stay in the neighborhood for our number 3, this horrific hole in Guatemala City. It would be nice if sinkholes only happened in out-of-the-way places, but as you can see, this monster opened up right in a populated area. Luckily, nobody was killed, but the 100-foot deep hole yawned open during Tropical Storm Agatha, which killed over 175 people elsewhere. Residents who live near the hole say they've been complaining about weird underground noises for years, but they're not the only ones. For number 4, we're not going anywhere, because Guatemala City has big booming sinkholes and little ones like this that try to sneak up on you in your sleep. This grandma was asleep in her bed when a 40-foot deep sinkhole opened up right underneath her. Even though we said it was sneaky, the woman said she was actually awoken by a loud booming sound, which she thought was a gas explosion. The woman called authorities to come and inspect the hole, fearful that it might grow bigger. And those fears are justified, as one investigator said all of Guatemala City sits on top of unstable volcanic material, just like this. Wow. Now there's only one thing scarier than almost getting swallowed by a sinkhole, and that's actually getting swallowed by a sinkhole. That's right, our number 5 is a sad one. It's the story of a sinkhole in Seffner, Florida, that opened up directly under the bed of one Jeremy Bush. By the time Jeremy's brother Jeff responded to his screams for help, Jeff opened the door to find everything in Jeremy's room swallowed by a huge sinkhole in the floor. Jeremy's family was devastated. The house needed to be demolished, and Jeremy's body was never recovered. Yes, some sinkholes have a bottomless appetite, and the only way you'll notice one is there is when something else is gone. An entire stand of trees, for example. Scary number 6 is this sinkhole in Biocorn, Louisiana. The township and surrounding swamp sat on top of an ancient salt cavern just below the surface. A company called Texas Brine drilled into the salt dome over and over again, injecting high-pressured water to dissolve the salt and then suck out the brine. Unfortunately, all that injecting and sucking didn't leave much to hold up the township above, and a 1-acre sinkhole developed, then quickly spread to over 23 acres in the area. As you can see from this plumb line, the sinkhole is extremely deep. The video goes on for 5 minutes as the plumb line sinks deeper and deeper, until eventually running out of cable. Louisiana officials say the sinkhole is at least 750 feet deep. The entire township had to be evacuated, and the state is suing Texas Brine. By now you probably feel like you've seen plenty of sinkholes from the top down, but how about from the bottom up? Number 7 is this beautiful cavity in China's Hubei province. The environment here is made of limestone, which is quickly eroded by water. Quickly in geological terms, that is. The result is this amazing 1,000-foot deep cave. When the roof collapsed, light, plants, and animals came in, creating a jungle in a bubble. Doesn't it sort of remind you of the Lost World? While we're in the neighborhood, let's visit this amazing spot in the South China Sea. Our number 8 sinkhole lets you look straight into the abyss. Known as the Dragon Hole, this recently discovered 1,000-foot deep sinkhole is the deepest underwater sinkhole in the world. The Dragon Hole is located near the Paracel Islands in the South China Sea. China would like to turn this bottomless pit into a tourist attraction, but that might be easier said than done, as the area is also claimed by Vietnam. But if you're not up for booking a cruise into contested waters to visit the deepest underwater sinkhole in the world, then here's some good news. Our number 9, Dean's Blue Hole, is the second deepest in the world, and it's conveniently located in the Bahamas. The site is popular with competitive freedivers who battle the urge to breathe in the inky blackness, all without any type of life support. If you'd like to give this 660-foot deep void a try, it's just a few yards from the beach, and even has a sandy lagoon for your friends to enjoy while they wait for you to surface. Hopefully. By now, you're probably feeling like nowhere is safe from sinkholes. But all is not lost. A recently formed sinkhole in Fukuoka, Japan, devoured an entire intersection. It turns out some careless tunnel digging undermined the firmament, but as you can see, in less than a week, the massive pit was fixed up good as new. See, nothing to worry about. So that's it for our top 10 most amazing sinkholes. We hope you've had a whole lot of fun. Did you hear that? That was hole as in H-O-L-E, hole. Nobody? Wow, tough crowd.